If there's a song I've listened to longer than any gospel song in my life, has to be Mariah Carey, You'll Always Be My Baby.
So you were still crying for her?
I was crying, my brother. I was crying. So I borrowed her my phone at the time. Can't do my sister. Who busy and I don't know this. And for the first time, the scripture again became alive in me, where he says, be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
Yeah.
So I shifted my mind from how I used to think. I shifted it from seeing myself as a victim only and seeing myself as the person who has problems and all these things. I shifted it and I started thinking of myself as that one thing that I just found that I am a phoenix. Though I fall, I will rise again. That's what I thought about. So that's why for me, these words are so significant to say that it works out in the end.
Take us through your turning points, right? When you find God, when you come to university, you come to Christian Action Fellowship,
Yes.
which translates your spiritual life and elevates it to a different level. Take us through all of that, just those turning points. What was the first lie God dealt in your life when you found him?
You have it all figured out. You're fine by yourself. I think that is the biggest problem that I've had. I've gotten used to living alone for so long and doing things by myself for so long that it felt uncomfortable to depend on people. You know, it was not something that I wanted, not something. I think I struggled with it for so long. So what God did then, especially in the year 2024, is that he flooded me with community. And what he flooded me with was a community of brothers. And of note, I mean, you were part of that as well. But of note, the two people I can say God used a lot as brothers in that year was the now missed Nkateko Machumele and Apostle Brian Marshall. You know, those people played a significant role, man. A very huge role. You know, because they flooded me with so much care that it felt uncomfortable in that year. So I think to a great degree, what then happened that God showed me that I've always thought that I can do things all by myself. And I've failed up to this point, and things actually started working better once I started using the community that I had. So I traveled with Mr. Nkateko to church. Back then in 2024, I wasn't really working. I didn't have my things, my photography business and all these things that I do. I didn't have all of that. So I didn't have any form of income. I didn't have anything. Literally almost every Sunday when I go out to Mr. Nkateko would say, hey, sir, come after church, pass at the mall. He wants to buy grocery for himself. If he buys 30x, he buy 2. He doesn't tell me anything. When he buys packet of pieces, he buys 2. And then when he's about to drop me off at my place, he shares the plastics, then he gives me a plastic. He doesn't tell me until we arrive that this is what he does, and he keeps that up for almost the entire year. You know, as if he's a person who knew what was going on. Till he understood later while we are traveling, you know. And I started having a bit of a fellowship with a brother consistently. And that was when God then started showing me that no man is an island. You know, even if you survived, I think me being alone made me survive up to a particular point because I didn't have a choice then, but now I do. You know, because now I don't have the excuse of using and saying that I have no one. God made sure that there are people there for me, brothers that were there. And when he was there, I had no excuse. You know, I couldn't say I'm going through this alone because this brother would see that I'm not well. And then as we are driving, he's like, you know, I'm struggling with this. And he's like, what do you think about it? With the intention of getting me to talk. You know, and that would work, you know, and that's how God started dealing a lot with me in the year 2024 as well. I think it was during the same year where God started defining my manhood. He started defining me as a person. after that relationship that I had beginning of the year 2024, I stayed single that year. And while I was single at that time, I just continued mostly in prayer. Of course, I'm not saying I wasn't seeing people like, hi, sister, there. I could see them, but I stayed, with no one at the time. So all I had was praying, school, church, and all of these things. And I had my brother. And then, of course, at some point, would continue defining myself and finding myself. I'm in therapy during that time. And of course, I'm discovering who I am. I'm defining myself outside of proving a point. Everything I was doing, one of the things that God did was to remove this consistent need to wanna prove a point. I can do it. I can make it. You don't believe in me? Let me show you. That's where I got my value from. That anything I needed to do, I needed to share it. I needed to tell you. I needed somebody so that you can say, well done. That's good, because that's what for me felt like I have a reason to live. I have purpose when somebody else can affirm what's happening in me.
So we are speaking about God. You've mentioned your therapy and the community. Those are some of the things that really, truly transformed your life.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest things that transformed my life, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Take us to your years in varsity, because you were at CAF. You were a chairperson.
Yeah.
Some are going to ask how. Kandi chairperson was dealing with so much stuff. How was those years for you? You come to CAF, Christian Action Fellowship. You become a leader there to a point that you become the chairperson of the organization.
I think if I look back at those years, man, to a great degree, I think the community, CAF itself, is what exposed me. Actually, my very ordination came from the fact that I was the CAF chairperson.
Yeah.
Everything that has to do with my ministerial duties and everything came from that aspect of what CAF developed in me as well. During that time, one of the challenges I think that exists that I found even as a leader, because remember, I became chairperson as well a lot during the COVID-19 period.
Yeah.
So almost every person I was leading had not known CAF prior to COVID.
Yeah.
So the burden, I think I felt the burden remaining a lot on me to ensure that CAF continues and it works a lot on campus.
Yeah.
So it was a very huge, hard thing. So it was difficult for people to see me at my weakest because I never allowed them to. Because one can say, I think maybe I took it upon myself to take the beacon of, I must be a beacon of hope. I can't show weakness. Though I've always learned, but I've always learned how to not show weakness, So I knew how to hide it well. So nobody could see it. They couldn't tell and all of these things. But during that time, I think that's one of the significant times where I believe that I try to do my best in making sure that the people have the place of fellowship back again on campus, At the same time, I was dealing with the fact that it was when I lost the funding, I was still chairperson of CAF in 2022. I was still the chairperson of CAF. I still had a couple of months left. I remember when I had my AGM. It was the AGM. And I was being held accountable. I was having it in the CAF office because I didn't have a place to sleep. And somebody in the meeting actually asked me where I am. It was night. And then it was Ukoni. Yes. Connie then actually asked me on my inbox to say what's happening, and I told him that actually I don't have a place of accommodation. Then that's when her and Neo offered their place for me to come live there. Then I went that very night. They Ubered me to their place. Then I went. I stayed there for a month or so. So that's what helped a lot during that time. Then my term ended as chairperson then. But I think one thing I saw that can be a bit of a challenge is that it's seldomly possible that people will not be able to tell how one can survive that kind of environment with the struggles that they had. You know, so I think for me that was a challenge. Then Uguti, I was hiding it so much that people couldn't see nor tell that this is what's happening. And by the time they could tell, I'd already messed up.
So CAF, Christian Action Fellowship, when you summarize your time there, what role did it play in your life in totality? And what was your experience like being in community, church community, such as CAF?
I think, especially, one of the things that made me appreciate the organization that we both belonged to at some point was, well, the sense of community that it offered, you know. And I think if I look at literally almost every relationship that I have now, one way or another, there's like a touch of CAF in every person. They've either been there or they are married to a person who's there. You know. I think it gave me to a great degree the ability of understanding, firstly, how to lead people. How to work with people, and how to build a vision that lives beyond you. You know, because I didn't establish CAF, but the people who did establish it before sold it so much to me that even when we had to ensure that it still lives beyond the COVID-19 period, we did exactly that. So I know what it means to take a part of being one of the people that played a role in shaping a generational vision. You know, I remember one of my mentors, Apostle Sepiso, once said something to me when during that time of COVID, you know, when they spoke about CAF, and I told them, hey, these are the challenges happening, and people were saying that CAF is going and all of this, you know. And then he said it was during that time when one of my leaders were saying something, Ati, I'm not called by God. They are appointed by men. People in my leadership. That like my vision is man-made and all of these things. So I was telling them all of this as well. And then he once said something so powerful back then, and I never forgot it until today when I advise people at CAF, I say the same thing. He said, CAF is an institution of God, and institutions of God never die. That statement lived in me. He said it exactly that way, and I've never forgotten it since. You know, and I continuously ensure that that is something that which I constantly try and sell as a vision that lives in the lives of people as well, at least at CAF, to say that understand that this is what you're happening, this is what you're part of at the same time. And I think that's what lives in me, in how I lead as well, my own ministry and how I do all of these things. It's like I do that from the knowledge I received from the place. You know?
I'm just trying to think of institutions of God. You have family.
Yes.
You have the church.
Yes.
Those things are still standing till today.
Yes.
So institutions of God don't fail.
They don't. They might be challenged, but they don't.
They don't fail.
Yeah.
I love that. Let's go into relationships. What's the first time in this entire story or your life? When's the first time you approach a lady and like, something?
In my matureness, even as a teenager.
Maybe let's start it from the teenage, and then we'll get to the more serious ones later on. Yeah, when's the first time as a boy you approach a lady?
As a little boy, when I was telling you, we used to have those, you know, small things of playing as a family.
Yeah.
You're a mother, a father, you have kids.
Yeah.
That was the first time I had a person.
Yeah.
And her name back then was Urefilwe. I know.
Yeah.
I'll leave it there. You know, so she was the person who I dated at the time as a child.
Yeah. And how old are you at this time?
I'm like 12.
Okay.
I think,
Yeah.
I'm 12 years old at the time, 11, 12.
Yeah.
You know, and the second person was another lady again, same community.
Yeah.
Almost a friend of the other one. You know, and that one was 2 years older than me.
Oh, she was older than you. And now you are how old?
I'm now like 13, 14.
13, 14. So you've just started high school.
Yes, not just in high school.
Okay.
So that was the person I first dated.
Okay.
And
then throughout high school, you just move in that
my
fashion
brother.
every time.
I dated him.
We know we're just playing.
Yeah.
You know, nothing's really serious there. Yeah.
But hey, there was a point, my brother, where in grade 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to date this girl who will not be mentioned.
Yeah. Let's protect her.
Yeah. She was a person I pursued her from the 15th of November. This is how hurt I was. I remember the dates.
Yeah.
15th of November.
Yeah.
It was 2013. We're in grade 9.
Yeah.
You know. And I approach her. She doesn't say no, but she also doesn't say yes. So I keep pursuing her until the 21st of June, 2014. In grade
29 November 2013.
15 November 2013.
15 November 2013.
Yes.
Up until June 2014.
Yes. On the 21st.
Sure.
That's when she says yes.
Hey,
we date in that month.
Yeah.
I had a phone called EE250.
Yeah.
So Samsung E250.
we all know that phone. It's number 1K.
Yes, number 1K. Yeah. So I used that, and then she didn't have a phone, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a boy in love. Ngiyamboleka. Yabo ukuthi akayisebenzise naye a bit, because I had the E250, but I also had the Nokia E63. Yabo. So I had those. The other one ukuthi E250 beyinenkinga nyana.
Yeah.
Yabo. So I borrowed her my phone at the time. Kanti my sister who busy yena nomunye umfana efonini yami. I don't know this. I don't know this, and I don't find it out until on the 21st of July.
Yeah.
When she breaks up with me. Yeah. Gives me my phone.
Wait, so you guys dated for
a full month. 21st June, 21st July.
After you
yeah, 4 months. So she ended up just breaking up with me. Gwashaya E1. Makshaya E1 is August. We are on school grounds. Of course, I'm still hurt, trying to heal from a breakup and all of this. I happened to pass because we had the same line of classes. It was, behind to grade 10 in the accounting. I was doing physics. So I happened to come closer to their class. There's this friend of mine. We're not really friends then, but I knew him. He was a bit of a soccer legend in our community. Babambiza U Drogba. That's what they called him.
Yeah.
You know, he was very good.
Yeah.
I'm passing by that class. Mangindlula. This girl is on top of the boy, sitting like this. My heart.
This is after you've broken up with her.
This is after I've broken up. You see, like 9 days after breaking up. Totally says it's so peswag. If there's a song I've listened to longer than any gospel song in my life, has to be Mariah Carey, You'll Always Be My Baby.
So you were still crying for her?
I was crying, my brother. I was crying. But she's the same person who made me develop this thing in me. Because remember that my background was that of abandonment.
Yeah.
My family comes back. My sisters come back when they want to. Then they leave again.
Yeah.
So I was used to people leaving.
Yeah.
So she strengthened and solidified that conviction in me that people always leave. From that day, I never dated one person.
Aish.
So ever.
You know, we touched on this in one of the episodes that, you know, one of the biggest challenges men face are the breakups they have. Yeah. So that breakup for you was the one that kind of gave you a new personality.
Yes, entirely.
So from then,
no, I never did.
Sure.
You know,
you never
when I did, I dated.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I never dated one single person.
Always one.
I always had a backup. Yeah.
And
if I was not having a backup, as soon as I sensed that you have the possibility of living, I approach somebody quickly, then I break up with you before you break up with me.
Oh,
that's what would happen.
Yeah.
Grade 10, grade 11, grade 12, I did that thing.
Sure.
You know, I think it changed a bit when I got to university. Actually, it did change when I got to university. Yeah. But those 3 years on my high school, it was that one. I never had one single person.
Sure. Let's get into your mature life now. What does relationships look like now? And you know, how do you see your past traumas showing up in these relationships?
I think the biggest one, man, I think, although I did stop doing that, because I remember when 2016 hit and I finished my matric, around 2017, and I started preaching and, you know, doing what I was doing in that gap year, which I call a gap year when, honestly, that's it. University just said no, but it's a gap year. So I stayed home. And in that year, all that happened was just preaching and doing all of that. When I got to university now at Wits, I remember in that year, I don't think I dated actually in my first year until probably approaching at the end of the year, where this lady I used to date in high school came back. She used to play. So we played each other. But she was one of those, you know, Guti High School, there's always that group of ladies, the top ones that are known. So she was one of them. And back then. So she came back into the picture now that I'm in university. She was the first actual serious relationship that I think I had. You know, but she came with bad intentions then because all her friends had children and she was seeking for one.
Did she make this known to you?
She did. Uguti ufuningani. And to be quite honest, because with me also back then, remember, I didn't really have the motivation to want to study, to want to do much. I didn't have the motivation to do anything. So I felt like it's because I don't have anybody depending on me. So she found me at my weakest level where I also felt like I need a motivation. So I was okay with the idea of having a baby.
So you give in to the idea.
I give into it. 2018, 2019, around that time.
Is she saved?
Not really. She goes to church.
Okay.
Yeah, but not really safe. Those traditional churches as well.
Yeah.
So, but I remember I had a bit of a light bulb moment in 2019. I was like, hi, me, a father. I thought like Is
it?
That's
actually what she needs. It's not a baby. It's Jesus.
I even gave her my Bible.
Oh, wow.
I'm making the Bible. And I think this. We broke up. And I think a couple of months passed. Around December, I was home. I found out that she's pregnant. You know, but actually she's pregnant with the same guy she was with apparently during the time when I was with her. For some time, I felt the fear which maybe Nengan. I felt like maybe Nengan. And I've always held this conviction.
So when she gets pregnant...
Yes. It hadn't been long since we separated.
It hadn't been long. So in your mind, you're thinking, actually it could be mine.
So I'm like, I've held this conviction in me, Yoguti. I will not be what my father was to me. So I cannot allow my child to grow up without me. Ngamlanda. Ngamlanda ngathi ngifuna i-DNA. Ngiyayifuna. So of course wafuna ukungiluyisa lokho prove ukuthi it's not. Then the child was born and honestly really looked nothing like me at all. Looked like that boy, that guy. Okay. Even now, sometimes when I check her Facebook, born with her and father like son here. You know, back then. So all of that's what was happening back in 2019. I think was 2020 during COVID time. We are born. So that was the first biggest serious relationship I had. You know, and when we separated, I remember now I dated a lot with, not a lot, but I dated somebody in my first longest relationship that surpassed a year. It was that one. But when I left that relationship, it's because I felt bored. The person wasn't boring. The person wasn't boring. The person loved me very much. The person cared for me. The person... you know, I think I've always had the best partners most of my relationships when I got to university. But I left because I felt bored.
Do you think the boredom was coming from something that had happened to you in the past?
Yes.
When you think about it now?
Yes. It was uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable to have someone love you.
Yes. The peace was uncomfortable.
In such a healthy manner.
Yeah. It was not it. Like even now, every time I think about, I think it was a couple of months back or even last year when I was talking to Mr. Nkateko, I tell him about this. I'm like, honestly, when I think about some of the decisions I made then, even when I think about it now, I'm dumb. This was stupid. You know, it doesn't make sense at all. But to me, then it made sense because I was running from something. And what I was running from was, again, that void. So to a great degree, when somebody came into the picture and they're doing everything absolutely right, it was boring for me.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was boring. And after that, when that continued at some point, if it's not that, I'd find maybe somebody else when that relationship ended, when there was some insecurities maybe that came beyond that. And when they were there, I was like, hey, angazi ngenzeni manje. And that one again failed. Oof. And when that relationship, by the way, during these periods, I'm not spending too much time single, you know.
So you're not really dealing with the breakups.
I'm not dealing with the breakups.
Yeah.
You know, I move on to the next one.
Hey.
You know.
And you are not healed because it's not like you're healing quickly.
No.
Just moving.
There's no healing here.
Okay.
It's just moving forward. It's just continuing, you know. I think it was mostly what was happening for me in all these years that I'm not really dealing with the problem. That's why when 2020, when was it? When the relationship that ended in 2024, beginning of the year, I think that was probably one of the best relationships I've ever been in, you know, because there was nothing wrong at all. At all, say, you know. And that's when I saw that there's a problem. And I realized, Uguti, in almost all the relationships I've had, although, of course, in some, it wasn't always my fault, but in the others where truly everything was right and it was my fault. And I saw that there's a big issue here. And the problem that I found to be the issue was the fact that I am angry at let me say, my sisters. Angry at my mom. What happened? Her presence and their absence through death, and their presence and their absence through neglect and abandonment has made me so much that I'm trying to head them to hurting these people. So that's why this pattern continued so much in these romantic relationships I find myself in. You know?
Sure.
So that's what happened. You know, and I know that in some relationships, in fact, I would seek out, if truly I can't find a reason to leave you, I'd seek out to make a reason. I'd create it, to create an environment where you would break up with me. You know, I would make it myself.
Hey.
So there are relationships I've lost that way.
Yeah.
Not because there was anything wrong really I was doing in the entire relationship at all, but because it came to a place where I felt like, I remember with the last relationship, as I was saying, one of the previous problems I had was the fact that I had no income, I had nothing, I had all of these things. And I felt so insecure in the fact that I felt like what defines me and my manhood is the things that I have. I remember my birthday came. This lady gave me like $800, bruh.
Wow.
Get yourself something. They do all of these things. My brother.
Yeah.
Then their birthday came. I was absolutely broke, my brother. Broke. You know, but one thing that I did see was the fact that I noticed something. That they love writing things down and all of these things, and they had no, their highlighters were finished. Their diary for writing dreams and all those things was finished. And I had a little to buy those. I bought those letters, you know, the written ones. I wrote a message in it. Ngishiya ngahamba, yabo. Muntu wangifonela khali inyembezi. My brother. I was shocked at what was happening. So that's what was there. But when it came to the fact that my insecurity was so big at the fact that I have nothing, I sought for a reason for them to leave.
Sure.
Because it was uncomfortable.
The lady showed you that actually she's not so concerned. I mean, we need resources that Don't get me wrong, but more than anything, what she was after is just you, right? And she loved you well.
Did.
But you still found a reason
to end it,
to sabotage the relationship and end it.
And one of my brothers, Apostle Brian, he once said something to me. He's like, you could have just said that I think I need a break, I'm under pressure and all of these things, and at least left the door of hope. That as you've gotten things together, you'd have done it. But you just went and chose to end the relationship through doing something so bad as breaking them by being with someone else.
Oof.
You know, so basically I'm trying to be so kind about it, but the truth is I cheated. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. You know, I thought about it so many times and it was not great. It was not awesome. I think that's one of the biggest things that led to me deciding to know, you know what, I'm not going to be with anyone. I'm not going to be in a relationship. I stayed single for the entire time while I went into the space of therapy.
Yeah. And sure, man. I mean, during this time, you are a Christian.
Yes, I'm a Christian.
A Christian. And what's God saying to you in the midst of all this?
Yeah, I think in those times when you're doing these things, you tend to turn a blind eye to whatever God says. Because I felt like I already know what he's gonna say. It's like somebody who's doing a sin and they're saying, I'm waiting for God to tell me it's a sin when I already know it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it was just that, man.
Yeah.
It was my conscience speaking to me.
Yeah.
You know, until that year, like for me, that's why I say that 2024 mostly was the biggest year, you know, for me, because I stopped everything. I stopped ministry. I stopped relationships. I stopped literally all I had at that time was school and going to church. I was not even serving at church at that time. And then, of course, I joined, I would help in the worship team in singing. But generally, all I did was school, therapy, school, therapy, school, therapy, every single week. There was a time I'd see my therapist twice a week because I need to ensure I deal with whatever problems there are.
Take me through your journey of repentance then. You've been in relationships, you've cheated, you've kind of backslidden. What's that journey of repentance to you? Let's just, and in fact, just speak to that, just that one brother, right? Who maybe even possibly Christian, who has found himself in this type of space, right? Whereby they've been caught up in the life of sin, right? And, you know, their past traumas keep on resurfacing in relationships. They find themselves sabotaging relationships. And they just they find themselves in those cycles of sin. What's the way of repentance for him? How does he get back to himself?
I think, you know, one thing I would say is if there's even a brother who sits there and they're waiting for God or even a pastor or their mentor to tell them that what they're doing is wrong, I will tell them that the first way to know that you already have your answer is the fact that you're waiting for somebody to tell you. The fact that you're waiting for them to tell you tells us that you already know that what's happening is something that's wrong, something that needs to change. You know, something similar to me. What then happened was after I then recognized, I remember I was actually working. I remember that day I was actually going to KEF. I went to KEF for the service after I received the breakup call. It was on a Sunday, you know. I go to church and I get to the service. They sing in the worship team and the atmosphere comes and then tears drop. For me, it was not the atmosphere, my brother. I was releasing under a safe environment my tears on the fact that I was hurt. Then I walk home with my brother, Samuel Mahlangu. So as we're walking, I tell him that my brother, something is wrong. This is what happened. The person that you need me to be with, it's ended, and it's truly is my fault. Remember, we were working a bit, it was late. We spoke a bit, Sama for sure for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Then he said he'll call me when he gets home. We spoke for almost another 1 hour, 30 minutes. We were talking about it. So for me, the first thing I did was to use the first safe environment I had to speak to a brother about my problems. And when I did that, I spoke to him. And honestly, he was there in how he supported, he listened. And then in the same parts, he then also, of course, rebuked,
Yeah.
I then spoke to him. I spoke to Brian and my other friend as well. I spoke to him as well. And when I told him, he himself as well stood with me, but also rebuked as well. Yeah, what you say, hey, my brother, what you did, truly wasn't right. So for me, it was the community of the fact that these are people that have been with me for so long, that some of them, when I was doing things that were maybe outside of character, even as a believer, they would quickly be able to come back to me and tell me that you need to fix this, you need to work on this, and all of that. So it was quite a supportive environment that I had, but I ensured that once the problem was there, I went to safe environments. There are people that we find as influential in our lives, but they don't automatically translate to safe environments.
Sure.
I discovered that to be something hard as well at the time. And for me, I went to the environment where I felt a bit more safe.
Yeah.
They rebuked me the same.
Yeah.
But I felt safe because I've seen this one's care. I've seen their care.
They didn't validate your sin.
They didn't validate it.
But they were able to doctor it well, to operate it well out of your life.
Yes. So, and you know why?
Yeah.
It's because they always had the time for me prior to all these things. They knew me. So they understood everything. So they rebuked, yet made it safe.
Yeah.
So then we spoke, of course, and then all of these things. But the biggest thing I did for me was to ensure, Oguti, I speak to them. I tell them of my part. I tell them of everything that happened and all of these things. I gave them the full context of everything. And that itself began my journey, because after speaking to them, that's when I found myself in therapy, where I deal with whatever it is that's a problem in there in me. So for me, I then told myself, I remember one of the things I said to one of the brothers that called me then was that I admit that what I did is this, and I know that it is wrong. But I don't think this is what the actual problem is. I think there's something far deeper causing me to destroy every good thing that I have.
Sure.
They didn't understand it then. Most people didn't get it, which is understandable. You see, but even I myself, I felt like I know it, but at the same time, I felt like it's an excuse. Until I went into the space of therapy, and for me, it made sense.
When you say you had to be the one who goes and speaks to them, I'm reminded of James, where it says, "Confess your sins one to another, and there you'll get healing." Was it a similar experience for you?
It was, man. But I think it was a dual experience.
Yeah.
I think the environments that felt safe, there are others that didn't.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because I think there are some environments within brothers sometimes that don't feel so safe. Because I was listening to a video, I think yesterday or this morning, and these guys were sitting in a circle, and he says something so significant. He says, sometimes the environments we have as brothers unsafe, because I come to tell you as my brother that I have this issue. The next thing I hear it as an example in the pulpit. There's something that he said that, and I was like, okay, this sounds something that happens so real and it exists. But for me, it wasn't that shocked me. It's just the fact that there's so much that people wouldn't mind saying about you, but not to you. So that's why I had an issue with speaking everywhere. So I went to the one place that I knew was safe, because I think that's why I'm saying that some influential people in our lives. And back then I remember I didn't even speak to most of my mentors at the time. I spoke to brothers and then I went to therapy. That's what I did for me. And once I did that, that in itself helped a lot because my brothers held me on the regard of the fact that they know I'm a believer, I'm a child of God. You know, they understand these things and they know that part. So they held me responsible for that. But my therapist was one who was responsible for every part of my life. They had no a religious commitment to me. They just had a commitment of their profession and just helping me deal with these things in general. So they helped in every other part. But the biggest thing that helped for my spirituality was going to the environment that is safe for brothers. So I went to people that were with me, and for me at that time it was Brian. Brian was a very good friend for me in that part. Samuel at the beginning, he was the first person I told actually. And the biggest person that knew the entire story was Mr. Nkateko because we traveled
more time,
together. And he knew these things. He'd ask me questions, you know, he'd ask and then we speak, we'd talk with all of these things. And that process helped in not just telling another brother my story, but in me forgiving myself. Because I felt as though I have one version here. The version of the fact that I had someone and I need to forgive. I need to ask for forgiveness from them, but I didn't realize that I was also now angry at myself because I've damaged my perception, my image. Here's something that I think is that I probably didn't mention. For me, it's so important how people see me. It's always been. You know, it's always significant how people see me. So I judge myself with a much higher standard in the sense that I feel as though if I do this and it's out of character and I know that Mondes sees me as this kind of person, if he knows what I did, therefore it becomes a problem because now I feel like I've lost my self-worth. That was the biggest problem that I also had. But to a great degree, it also safeguarded me because I ensured that though I know I'm not perfect, but I can't be found to do these other things at the same time. So I needed to forgive myself because I've always held the conviction that above anything that I can ever do, I cannot become a person who cheats. And there was, I did it. The one conviction I've always held, because I've seen, remember I told you about the examples I had. My sisters would, I don't know how many, we laugh about this with my sister now. But at the time, I would see different people. I know so many different partners at the time. So for me, that was the thing I saw that made me see with Angifunland. And especially because I was born that way. My mom was cheating. My dad was cheating. That's how it was like. Even the man I found out to be my dad actually had a wife as well back in Zim. You see? So that's another thing that you find that I was born in that kind of environment. I don't blame it because I developed that consciousness that I will not allow myself to be part of that, to do the same thing. And I was angry at myself because I did it, you know. So I think the biggest thing that then made me be angry at myself was because I broke my own value. I broke my own, not value, it's my conviction or my principle that I established at the time. So that therefore helped a lot in forgiving me. But I also went, of course, to the extent of ensuring, for me, I felt it was important for me to also just go to the people and say, you know, I know that what I did to you was wrong and I'm sorry. And that was the extent of it. After that, I never said anything beyond that to them because the intention was not to fix things with them. The intention was for me to be okay and for them to move beyond that. Some of them, we are okay people now. We greet each other, even laugh and all of that. Some of them we still don't talk, of course, which is understandable. But to a great degree, what helped me a lot for me was the fact that I began the journey of forgiving people, forgiving myself, forgiving my own siblings as well. And that made a lot of sense. But what helped was the fact that once I was deep in these things and now they've broken me, I didn't allow myself to suffer in these things anymore. I just didn't care what my brothers think anymore. Just gonna tell them my problem. And whenever they say, at least I know it's not sitting with me. And I was fortunate enough to have such brothers that stood with me at the time.
I think you've mentioned the concept of brotherhood, right? A good space of brotherhood is a space where you can share your issues with them. But not only that, but that they can also speak life back into you.
Into you.
Right?
Yeah.
So brotherhood really helped you a lot in terms of getting back up.
Yeah. Plays a very significant role, man. Very significant role because it felt safe. I think, though, another thing to add on that is that I think you, as the person who's also guilty of whatever wrong that is there, be open to the fact that the community of Brotherhood is not going to validate your wrongdoing. They will correct it. They will fix it. But you will also know the care in how they still, I don't know, cover you in a sense that, my brother, you are wrong. What you did is not right, and all of you don't stand of it. But I know you can survive this, or you can come out of this. So there's a sense of validation. Sometimes it's not that the conversation will always end in validation, but even if it ends in you just being corrected, you will still feel the sense of safety from whatever correction comes from. You know, for example, right now, if you, I don't know this, I did a research, by the way, on the result of the behaviors of both children and university students that come from functional families and dysfunctional families, to compare how they behave and how they treat school and all of these things. And one of the things that I discovered in this is the fact that the children and people that come from a bit more functional family, and by functional I don't mean two parents, I just meant a healthy family, can be with your sibling alone, your elder sibling. That's how I define functional. And dysfunction is just abuse, rigid roles, all of these things. And I saw that those who come from a functional family tend to have a more positive outlook on relationships, on family, on all these things, compared to those ones who come from a dysfunctional ones, because those ones who come from a functional background, they have it innately developed in them by the families they come from, in comparison to those who come from a dysfunctional one, because they have to develop it themselves. They develop the resilience themselves. They develop the work ethic themselves. They have to find it themselves. These ones were a bit built up in them. But sometimes the results come out the same. The difference is just how it's developed in both of them. You know. So I think that was where the issue can be sometimes, that if you are a person who probably has a bit of a background like mine, or sometimes it's different, but somehow you live a ungodly life maybe, and you live a life that's not so good, so great, and all of these things, then that would then mean that there's possibly so much more work that needs to be done, and one of the places that offer you that is to have a place of community. And in that place of community, therefore, I would say that this would be, of course, the words I would say to the place of community that a brother tends to. That it's not necessary, it's a place of being held accountable, but not a place of judgment at the same time. And
I love that.
Yes, it's a place of being held accountable, but not be held in a place of judgment. I don't know. So it's very important, Uguti, we hold you accountable, but at the same time, don't drive you to your last breath. By ensuring that you live here feeling all sense of I'm not worth it. But feel all sense of worth. The point I was trying to make earlier was that if you have a parent, and I asked them this question, that if you are rebuked by your parent and you know how much they care, one would say that I'd rather have that rebuke of my parent because I know they are there and I know they support me. Another would speak about something different, to say that this is something that for me, I would rather choose that, you know what, I would be anywhere else except in this place that I thought would be safe. Because to a great degree, what is supposed to be safe for me, what is supposed to give me comfort or, a belonging, to a great degree has made me lose of sense of worth, sense of this and all of that. So I think it's those kind of things that can be challenging about the places that which we sometimes find ourselves belonging to, that is supposed to be a safety environment, but it's not, because the person doesn't actually live encouraged, or doesn't live rebuked. The Bible will say, for God rebukes those he loves. So God doesn't mind telling you that, my brother, what you're doing is a sin. It's wrong. But think about how many times you've possibly done the same thing or something different, but it's still wrong. But at any point, you have never felt like God has abandoned you. But to a great degree, there are relationships that make you feel like, hi, man. So it's something like that we need to practice the kind of rebuke God gives, so that people don't leave me. Like if somebody can come, my brother can come to me to confess their wrongdoing, and they leave worse than they came.
Yeah.
You know, it's not possible.
Sure.
You know? So that's what, for me, Brotherhood did.
Sure.
You know, the ones at least I mentioned, you know,
Sure.
that's what did. I mean, you know this as well. I would come. I think there was a time where I spoke with you when I came and I stayed at your place, you know. So there's those kind of things that also they offer the safety of knowing that I, my brother, what you're doing here, I will not approve.
Yeah.
You know, this is not right. This is not in accordance to character.
Yeah.
You know. But God is gracious. Oh, but you can do this. You can come out of this and all of those things. So, yeah, man.
No, man, that is so. Oh, yeah. I think one of the things we neglect is a good space of brotherhood. Some guys would I mean, brotherhood. There's brotherhood that is bad for you. We won't lie, and that's the type that validates your bad behavior. It's either they validate your bad behavior,
yes,
or they don't listen to you at all.
Yes.
So you live worse than you came.
Yes.
Right. But there's a brotherhood, there's a space of brotherhood which I think we need to really find that allows us to be vulnerable and yet still come out of that space healed and corrected.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
What are your parting shots to someone who has gone through your experience?
It works out in the end. I know it's probably a cliche type of statement, but it works out. I think one of the things that I found to be something interesting I read, I think last week, I can't remember, but no, it's actually something that I read it from a status, and I believe Pastor Martin said it actually.
Okay.
When he said something about you guys screenshotted it, that when he said even if there was no purpose to your pain, God would find a reason to make it be purposeful for something else. So he would develop a purpose and a reason for it at some point. Man, that was something powerful, and I've thought about it for so long, because I don't think everything we go through is necessarily because God is trying to teach us a lesson. You know, some things happen because we live in an evil world. You know, the devil will do something. There's some things that the devil will do, attacks, and there are things that which we also just ourselves will decide to do that are wrong, and we end up suffering the consequences of. Because sometimes we do things that are just out of the way, and they're not right, and therefore we suffer the consequences. It's not the devil, no, it's the consequence of your decision. You see, and in any case, the redemptive power of God is the fact that he will give purpose to it at the end. That's why scripture will say, Romans 8, I think it says, for all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord. So I think the one thing that I would say, man, and I'm saying this as a person who did a 4-year degree in 8 years. You know? I'm saying this as an individual who's messed up quite a number of times in his life. And oh man, I think I've done quite a lot of things. I've went through a lot of things myself, you know, but it works out.
It works out.
I mean, I know that probably some people who end up watching this are not believers as well. I would say that, at least from my perspective, I gave God a chance and it was way better. I don't think I want to find out how it was going to be like had I not had him. You know, so I think the biggest thing I'd say is that maybe this is what I would say, that in 2022, 2024, when I returned to university, there's a camp I attended at VETS called the VETS Emerging Leaders Program. While I was there was a session where we had to speak with 3 groups of friends. We asked each other questions about our past and our histories and everything. And I remember when I said something, one of the ladies there who was in my group then said something back to me after hearing my story. She's like, man, you are like a phoenix. I was like, what's that? I never knew what a phoenix is, by the way. I'm embarrassed a bit
like
about
a bird?
Something like that, yes. It was a bird that seemingly keeps rising again, something along those lines. Like it keeps rising again.
Sure.
So though it dies, it rises again.
Sure.
So he said you are like a phoenix. And then I remember in that moment, they then asked us a question. They said, if you were to write a book, what would be the subject? And I remember I was going to say the name of the book would be I Am Phoenix. I remember I said that, I am Phoenix.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, I'm saying that I'm still trying to finish the degree.
Yeah.
But I said I'm Phoenix because now what changed was not the circumstance around me, was my mind towards it. Was my there was a mental shift in me. That's why I think the transformation came from. And for the first time, the scripture again became alive in me, where he says, be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
Yeah.
So I shifted my mind from how I used to think. I shifted it from seeing myself as a victim only and seeing myself as the person who has problems and all these things. I shifted it and I started thinking of myself as that one thing that I just found that I am a phoenix. Though I fall, I will rise again. That's what I thought about. So that's why for me, these words are so significant to say that it works out in the end.
Sure.
So yeah.
Pastor Gift.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing so vulnerably. And we wish you all the best. I know you've started a church.
Yes, sir.
May God truly elevate you even in that space. But thank you so much for coming to the show and just sharing your story freely with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes,
sir.
To the audience, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please do the right thing. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Just do all the necessary stuff. All right. Every man out there needs to know about this podcast. So if there's a man you know and you care deeply about, share these conversations with them. But until next time, stay a phoenix. Keep rising again. Thank you.
Thank you.